Hey, this is Leland B. Martin sitting here with Elias, and we're on the Man Cave Chronicles. I'm from Boomerang on BET. Holla at me.
Welcome to another episode of the Man Cave Chronicles.
Welcome to the party, pal.
You're my boy, Blue!
Yo, Adrian!
A podcast with interviews of amazing guests from the world of pop culture.
Oh, yeah.
TV.
Nice.
Movies.
Oh, I love the movies.
Comedy and more. From deep inside the Man Cave, your host, Elias.
Leland, welcome to the cave.
Hey, how's it going?
How are you, man? What's new with you?
Oh, man, just been isolating, doing a lot of isolating and more isolating. And just been sticking to myself, man, trying to stay safe and healthy out here.
How are you handling that whole isolation thing?
Just trying not to go stir crazy right now, watching a ton of movies. Trying to do park workouts and a bunch of push-ups and body weight workouts as much as I possibly can, and watch movies and try to get creative, as much as possible.
Yeah, there you
but
go.
It's tough, man. It's tough.
I know. We'll get through it.
Yeah, we definitely will. We will see the other side.
That's
Trust
right.
me, I believe it.
Yeah. So you've been busy the last few years. You've done various TV shows and films, and you recently just returned for season 2 on BET's Boomerang, and we'll talk about that. But I want the listeners to get to know a little bit more about you. Where are you originally from?
Originally, I'm from South Jersey. I was born in Camden, New Jersey, but I was raised in a place called Willingboro, New Jersey. It's right outside of Philly. So, I'm not one of those Jersey folks that navigate towards New York. So I'm not a Knicks fan or a Nets fan or a Jets fan or a Giants fan. I'm a Philly fan all day, every day. Eagles all day, every day. Sixers all day, every day. That's where I'm from.
We're gonna have a problem. I'm a Patriots fan. You guys got us a few years ago.
You know what? I had a problem with you guys at first because you got us first, way back.
That's
In
right.
the Donovan McNabb days, you got one from us, so we just paid you back. That's all.
So growing up in that area as a kid, what were you into?
I was actually into sports, man. I was a huge basketball head. I mean, still am to this day. Grew up watching Allen Iverson. Like I said, I was a Sixers fan. So that was around the time when I really started getting into basketball, is when he came into the league. So, basketball was my thing. In high school, I played basketball, I ran track. Was heavy in the church actually back, in high school. So growing up, I was just a regular, everyday, athletic kid.
Mm. Did you have any idea you wanted to get into the acting world when you were that young?
None whatsoever. I always thought those theater folks were a little weird. I said, no, I want to stay away from all of that. It was really sports for me, and academics and things of that nature. I really never really thought about acting whatsoever. It wasn't until later on. I didn't start acting until I was 23 going on 24 years old.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't until, it wasn't until like after college. I already had a college degree and was working in finance at Merrill Lynch. And, that's when the bug actually hit me because, I kind of felt like I did everything like they taught me how to do. You go to high school and then you go to college, and then after that you get a job in what you got a degree in, and then you work until, you retire, and that's that, with your 2.5 kids and your picket fence. But for me, once I got into that corporate world, it just it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me at all. And no knock to the corporate 9 to 5, but just my creative juices were still going, and I had no outlet for it. So acting, when it came into my life, was like a breath of fresh air.
Mm. How did you fall into the acting world? What was the first step that you took?
So actually, it's crazy. I did a fashion show. I went to my mom's church one Sunday, and these girls that were at the church were over this fashion show that they were doing, and they wanted me to come and do the fashion show. And when I did the show, I was liking all the attention that I was getting. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. The lights, the cameras, and the action, the whole behind the scenes and everything like that. It was, I liked, that was my first taste of that particular world, and I liked it. So I remember, I went back to work, and there was a deli that I went to for lunch. And right next door to the deli that I went to, there was a sign in the window, the storefront said casting, and I knew it had something to do with acting and modeling. So I was like, man, let me go in there and see what's going on. And the lady was like, well, you don't have any experience, so I can't I can't cast you in anything. I can't, put you into that side of the business. But what I can do is I can give you lessons on Tuesday and Thursday nights. And I started taking lessons, and man, it just opened up a whole new world for me.
Oh wow! How would you describe the experience with the acting lessons?
It was very interesting at first because I didn't know my left hand from my right hand in the beginning. And, I was just so happy to be there. But looking back on the initial acting lessons that I was taking, I mean, she was teaching me a whole bunch of BS. The lessons in the very beginning, it wasn't like solid acting lessons, but I still kind of fell in love with it. And then I started taking a class out in Philadelphia. This casting director his name's Mike Lemon, and really started to teach me the ebbs and flows of acting, and really how to, to really tap into your emotional centers. And then it started to become cathartic to me. And it really, really started to, be something that I wanted to do. And what got me hooked on it was about a few months into my acting lessons, I actually went to audition for this film called Alaska Land. And it's kind of funny because the director of that particular film is also the director of Clemency. The director, her name is Chinonye Chukwu, just won, I believe, one of the highest awards you could win at Sundance, and her film Clemency got bought. And was in theaters and all that good stuff. But she was actually the director of the first film that I ever did. And that's what really got me hooked, because I was like, they're sending me out to Alaska and paying me and putting me up in a hotel. And I'm like, I get to make money and play pretend.
Wow.
Like, that's way better than my job. So that's what really, really got me hooked on acting, was that first experience of actually working on a project.
How awesome was filming a movie in Alaska?
No, it was amazing. It was amazing for me. It opened up a whole new world. I had never been on a set like that before. I had never, been just felt that important. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
to the point where, as an actor, you have these PAs running after you, and the director. It seemed like a place of importance at that particular time. And it hooked me in, man. I swear, because that experience was amazing for me. I had never experienced anything like that before.
So was that your first gig?
That was that was my first gig.
Oh, wow.
That was my first gig. It was the first independent thing that I had done. And actually, it's funny because I had to use all my vacation time because I was still working at Merrill Lynch.
Yeah.
At my 9 to 5. So I had to. It was like it was 3 weeks for me to shoot in Alaska, and 3 weeks was all I had for the year. So I put in for all of my yearly vacation time just to go and do it. And I remember after that experience coming back to the cubicle, like, man, I hate it here. I hate it here.
Yeah.
This so sucks. I want to go back to Alaska. I want to keep working. And that's what really fueled me to be like, okay, you know what? This thing is for me. So, I remember leaving Merrill Lynch and transferring over to Bank of America in Manhattan, New York, and taking the trip from South Jersey all the way to Manhattan, 2 hours up and 2 hours back every night to work the night shift while I pursued my acting career during the day. And I did that for a good year before, moving out to Los Angeles.
Actually, that was my next question: is when did you decide to do the big move to LA?
The big move to LA happened in 2013. I got there in April 2013. I packed up everything that I had, was renting a condo, packed up all my stuff in the car and took a trip across the country, man. And, stayed on my friend's couch for about 3 months until, I found steady wages and got on my feet. But, around that time, it was time to take that plunge and make that move. I started to get restless in Jersey, and that hike up to New York was really taking a toll on me. So, once I saved up enough money to make that move where I felt comfortable, I did it.
So now, I mentioned earlier, you star in BET's Boomerang. Of course, that takes 26 years later. Is that what it is? After the original movie?
Yeah, 20. Yeah. Exactly.
Wow.
1992 was the original. So it started 26 years later with season 1.
Yeah, so for the listeners that haven't seen the show or anything, can you give us a little quick detail of what the show's about?
The show is a show about millennials. It picks up with Eddie Murphy and Halle Berry's character, Marcus Graham, their daughter, Simone Graham, and it's her group of friends with Bryson Breuer, who's played by Taquan Richmond, and Tana Jackson plays Simone Graham. And, it basically follows the kids of Eddie Murphy's character and Halle Berry's character. And, our friends. And it's kind of like we called it in the beginning, the Black Friends. It's about millennials who have all different types of backgrounds that are seeking all different types of things. And it's a very odd friend group. But we're tackling a lot of real issues within society. I mean, a lot of different facets of society are being represented by the characters in our group. You're talking about different sexualities and different ambitions and different career outlooks and all different types of stuff. And in season 2, you'll see a lot more of each individual's character's individual journeys. You saw in season 1 a lot of these Bryson and Simone character arc as far as the kids of the original characters and seeing their romance. But in season 2, you'll see a lot more of every single character's character arc, especially Ari, my character. So
tell us about your audition when you first went in there for this part.
Yeah, so actually it was auditioning for Lauren Gray out there in downtown Los Angeles, and Lauren, and she was great. It's so interesting, my audition experience before that, because I'm learning that the resume gets you a little more respect in these rooms somewhat. You know what I mean? And before you come into the room, and it was kind of like people wouldn't even necessarily pay attention all the time. Like, all right, next. And as you build your resume, you get a little more time in the room, a little more time, a little more consideration. And by the time I got to Lauren, their casting office is just amazing. They took their time and allowed me to really work and really settle into the work. And I thought it was an amazing audition. And maybe about a week later, they called me back. And the next time they called me back, it was I think it was a few of the producers in the room, as well as the casting directors. And then they called me back again. And it was the whole crew. It was Lena, and it was Dime, and it was Ben, and it was Rishi, it was Lauren Gray, and the whole casting office. And they give you a series of scenes, and you just gotta knock them down. And I guess they already chose me before they even did all the chemistry tests and the reads and things of that nature, because they just sent my audition to the test. I didn't even have to go into the test because they had already chosen me by that point. So I didn't even have to test, but it was 3 definitely nerve-wracking auditions for sure.
So you mentioned you play Ari. How would you describe your character?
Ari's a wildfire. He's a wildcracker in the group. He's definitely the life of the party. The guy who, he's very unapologetic about who he is and how he goes about his life. And season 1, we saw it in his professional world to where, he's a director trying to make his way up, but he's also a party promoter, and I kind of identify with that being the fact that I worked at overnights for so long while I pursued my dream during the day. And that's really what Ari was into. You see Ari, trying to pursue his directorial career and things of that nature, while also balancing his own personal life. And in season 2, you'll see more of his moral dilemmas and the things that he kind of gets caught up into as far as the stereotypical world that he lives in versus the reality that he wants to see in his own life. So he's a complex character for sure, but he's also comic relief in the group.
So how did you prepare for this role? Like, what kind of research? Did you go back and watch the movie, and then did you try to put your own input into this character?
Definitely. Wanted to go back and watch the movie and kind of just, implement a little bit of flavor from all 3 of the main male characters in the movie, from Eddie Murphy to Martin Lawrence to David Allen Greer. Pieces of each of those characters, I believe, are embodied within the 3 male characters of our cast. So, I wanted to go back and kind of, touch on some of the things that, some of the mannerisms that Martin had, some of the smoothness that Eddie had, and David Allen Greer's sensitivity, and kind of add that to Ari to make sure there was a familiar element to the characters in our show. So I watched the movie over and over. But the thing about it is, the movie for me was one of my favorite movies growing up, and I mean, I say that authentically, not just because I'm part of the new Boomerang crew. I mean, like in college, that was on repeat for me. That's one of those classics, So I was hella excited to play the role, and I watched it over and over again already. So I had no problem watching it over and over and over again, and then wanted to add my own little flair and flavor to it to make the character original.
Did you find any challenges portraying the character?
Oh, for sure. I mean, Ari's sexuality itself, can be a challenge to play and portray. That not being my experience in real life, it's something that can be a little harder for me to convey and adds a little bit of a challenge to the mix. But it's a challenge that I welcome, though, because I love the authenticity and the representation and what that character embodies, and just who that particular who Ari is, within the group and what he means, to the people watching. So the character definitely presents certain challenges within itself, but ultimately it's a rewarding thing to play Ari. All in all.
How was it? How would you describe the vibe on set, and how was it working with the cast?
Oh man, it's a cool vibe. Everybody, I love my cast. Season one was a very cool, getting to know each other vibe type of thing, because we went out a lot and we hung out a lot because we had to build that vibe, and everybody, we have our own distinct personalities, but we vibe very, very well. Like what you see on screen is definitely what we bring to the table, just personally, and season two just, added more of that flavor to it because we already knew each other. We were already used to hanging out, so it was just like right back to getting in the groove and hanging out. So, it was kind of, we took those hangout vibes from, going out and hitting the restaurants and the clubs and all that good stuff and brought that right on the set. And we just kind of keep that same vibe going. So, it's all love and all respect. And, it's a beautiful thing you got going.
How was it working with the creators of the show? Was it Lena and Ben?
Oh man, it was cool. I mean, Ben is just a really cool dude to start off with. I mean, fashionable and all the rest. And Lena, she's just a god. She's a boss. I mean, I've learned so much from being up under Lena and seeing how she hustles and seeing how she just treats the people around her and how she inspires the people around her. Like I'm truly inspired by Lena. She was very, very hands-on with season one and getting things going and getting the groove started with us, and just learning so much from her. I mean, they really, both of them set the tone for us for the show.
I know Halle Berry is one of the executive producers. Has she put any input on the show? Like, have you had a chance to encounter with her?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Her name is enough.
Yeah.
I mean, she, I've had a few different encounters with her, and just in every conversation that we've had, just, it's all love, and I learned a lot from just seeing how she goes about her business, and the grace and the essence that she carries herself with is incredible. And I mean, just the fact that she lent her name to our franchise, I mean, means so much, because she's an icon. I mean, Halle Berry, boys from young men to old men all know that name. We all had a crush on Halle Berry at some point. So for that, I kind of figured to put her name and her stamp on, our work, and to give us that blessing with the Boomerang franchise. I mean, that means so much.
Did Eddie Murphy have any input in this, or was he not involved in this project?
Not so far, but we're looking for it. I mean, of course, it's based on, so based on Boomerang and things that, he's entitled to. So we have his blessing and things of that nature. But, he wasn't involved in the first couple of seasons, but we would love to have him on board.
What do you think's been like your favorite moment on the show? Do you have like a certain episode or scene that your character was in?
Yeah, I think episode 7 of season 2 will be a very comical episode for my character, to say the least. But I don't want to spoil it, so I'll talk about something that has already come out. See, episode 2 of season 2, the Cheaters episode, the episode where we were going through the different synopses, and where I get to play Joey Greco from Cheaters. I thought that was a hilarious moment, and I mean, I had a ton of fun playing that particular those particular scenes out.
So now, you've been in the acting world for a few years now. What do you enjoy more? Do you enjoy more like auditioning in front of like directors and cast, or do you like doing self-tape?
I hate auditioning. I still to this day, I hate going in the room. It's so nerve-wracking, man. I mean, I'll be honest. Like for me, I got to get those first couple auditions out of the way, before I just settle into it. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'm back into the groove. Because, like, for example, we go off to Atlanta for a few months and we'll work on Boomerang. And then, we'll come back. And then by the time we come back, it's around Christmas break. So everything has been shut down. And then, you have New Year's that comes around. And then around close to the end of January, that's when we're starting up with the pilot season and we're getting ready. So by then, I haven't been acting for like a good maybe month and a half, 2 months. So that next audition that comes my way, you gotta kind of get the rust off a little bit, and then hopefully you've been training on your own and doing your thing and keeping yourself sharp, but you got to get the rust off. And then, every job when you go in, you're seeing the people that are ultimately judging you, and that could be kind of nerve wracking. So I definitely look forward to the self tapes, kind of get you more into the groove. But once I get into the audition groove, then everything is cool, and you're just floating, and either way it works. You're just working. Yeah. It's you versus the work.
So, before you go audition in front of people, do you have like a certain routine? Is there something you do before you go in that room? Like do you give yourself a little pep talk, or like some people have some weird quirks? Yeah,
actually, well, I use a cork actually.
Yeah.
I have a technique that I use. I like to First of all, I like to make sure that, everything is clear, like my jaw muscles are loose, even my sinuses and my nose and all the rest, and my voice is warm and all that good stuff. And then what I'll do is also, I'll take like a cork maybe and put that, between my teeth and kind of talk with the cork so that my mouth is nice and used to opening wide when I speak, so that when I take the cork out of my mouth, I don't have trouble enunciating, because I've in the past had trouble, dragging my words at points. When I, speak. So I get my mouth nice and open and ready to go. And, just mentally, I make sure, depending on what the character is, I put myself in that mind state. I use music a lot to get me there. And of course, you make sure you're prepared, make sure you know your lines, and make sure you know your intentions and what you're doing and where you're going. But, also not being so rehearsed that you can't move with the casting director when they tell you to do something. But, I like to, a lot of times, get quiet, but depending on the character, it will depend on what type of music I may play to get myself into that particular mood. But not be married to that mood either, because they may ask you to switch it up, and you got to be ready to kind of switch it at any point.
So we mentioned earlier, you were working that whole 9-to-5 job thing, and you knew it wasn't for you, and you jumped right into the acting world. What's some advice that you would give to somebody that, after they talk to you and everything, they tell you they want to get to the acting world? What do you tell them?
I tell them to go for it. I tell them to absolutely go for it. If you feel like it's in you, you should do it. I mean, entertainers are needed, and we can see that more than ever now, when we're all stuck in the house because we're social distancing. We need shows. We need entertainment. Our jobs are very important. So it's a meaningful job in society, as we see now. So I think it's something honorable to pursue. And if you got it in you and you feel like you have that talent, you should go for it. And I mean, the way things are expanding with technology and all the rest, I mean, shoot, nowadays you can do it from anywhere. Yeah. You can start your career right where you are. You don't necessarily even have to be in LA to be a working actor. So start wherever you are, train. If it's in you, start to grow that thing, that passion within you, and see where it goes. I mean, who knows? The sky is the limit. You may be that next big superstar. And if you don't go for it, if you don't entertain that passion, you'll never be that. But if you do, who knows? Who knows?
That's right. Do you have like a dream role you want to play someday?
Oh man. I want to put on so many different skins, man. But just looking at the career of like a Will Smith or a Denzel Washington, I actually want to play a bad guy. I wouldn't mind being like an Alonzo from Training Day. I got a little bit of that in me. Yeah, oh my God, man. Epic performance and an epic movie, just period. And, I think I got a little bit of that in me, and I would love to show that to the world. A little bit of that thug up in you.
Yeah. So you mentioned Will Smith, and like if you could star alongside somebody, who would it be, you think?
It would be Will Smith.
Yeah?
It would be Will Smith for sure. Yeah, I think, we're a similar type when it comes to just delivery and things of that nature. And I think it would be a kind of a cool little dynamic, a younger version and an older version. Well, I won't say older version, more mature version. I think that would be pretty dope to work with an icon such as that.
Where do you see yourself 10, 20 years from now?
I see myself starring in big, major motion pictures, feature films, box office, action, adventure, love, thrillers. Just in demand, definitely in demand, having my own production company and executive producing in, projects and things of that nature, definitely taking it to that next level. Getting from the getting up to that A-list, that's the dream. And in 10 years, I could see myself certainly doing that.
Have you done anything behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes, I've produced before my own smaller projects, web series, and things of the past, for sure. But looking to do it on a grander scale in the future. But right now, just kind of grooming myself and wait for that opportunity to really get behind the scenes.
Yeah. Do you have any other upcoming projects that you want the listeners to know about?
Right now, just waiting to get back in that audition room. To be honest with you, I just did. I did Cherish Today. You can find me on that on the OWN network, produced and directed by Ava DuVernay. So Cherish Today is out, and you can see me on that particular show. But Boomerang, as soon as we finished, with the premieres and the production and getting that off the ground and starting with auditions back, everything kind of shut down.
Yeah.
So just waiting to get back into the flow of things so that I can get onto that next thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Leland, lastly, how can the listeners find you on social media?
Oh, for sure. Everything is Leland B. Martin. So my full name, Leland, B as in boy, Martin, and you can find me on Twitter, Leland B. Martin, Instagram, Leland B. Martin, and those are my social handles.
All right, Leland, this was fun. Thank you for coming on.
Man, so much fun. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap, everybody. That's a wrap.
Thanks for listening to the Man Cave Chronicles podcast.
I finally get my man cave.
You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at the MCC Podcast and our website, themccpodcast.com. Until next time.